Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a time where the world often tells us that power, control, and self-interest are the paths to success. But today, I want to invite you to consider a different reality. A reality where humility and obedience are not signs of weakness, but profound strength. A strength that flows from a deep inner alignment with something much greater than ourselves. Imagine for a moment, if you will, stepping into a world where you are not the center of everything, where your ego doesn't lead your decisions, and where your actions are guided by something much more powerful than your personal desires. This is the reality that God calls us into. Humility is not just about lowering ourselves before others. It's about releasing the need to control everything. Trusting that there is a plan far bigger than our own, one that is unfolding perfectly, even when we can't see it. Humility invites us to let go of the belief that we have all the answers, and instead, it calls us to be present in the moment, aware that we are part of a divine tapestry, beautifully woven with purpose. When we walk in humility, we are able to access a power that is not of our own making. It's the power of surrender. In our world, we often hear that success comes from pushing harder, from fighting for what we want, and from conquering the world with our will. But I challenge you to consider this. What if the true path to greatness is not through pushing against the flow, but through surrendering to it? What if greatness lies in trusting the unseen hand that guides you, knowing that when you align with it, the results are more extraordinary than anything you could have forced into being? And this is where obedience enters the picture. Obedience is not about blind following. It's not about being a puppet on a string. True obedience is a conscious choice to listen to a deeper voice, the one that speaks to your spirit, the one that calls you to be in harmony with the greater good of all. It's the willingness to follow guidance even when it doesn't make sense, to trust in a path that may not always be clear, but always leads to growth and transformation. Think about it. When we act from a place of obedience, we are in sync with something much larger than ourselves. We become instruments of a higher purpose. And in doing so, we align with the most powerful force in the universe, which is love itself. We begin to move through the world with grace and peace, knowing that we are part of a divine flow. This obedience is not about fear, but about trust. Trust that we are being led towards something greater, something more fulfilling, something that resonates with the deepest longing of our soul. God calls us to walk in humility and obedience, not as a burden, but as a path to freedom. A freedom that comes from letting go of the constant need to control and instead embracing the power of trust and surrender. It's a freedom that comes from knowing that when we follow the guidance of our heart and spirit, we are walking in alignment with our truest selves. Today, I invite you to release the heavy burden of self-reliance and step into a life of grace and peace. Let go of the need to prove yourself to the world and instead turn inward. Trust that the answers you seek are already within you, waiting to be discovered. Walk humbly, listen attentively, and above all, obey the voice that is calling you towards something more. This is not just a call to live a good life. It's a call to live a great life, one that is fully aligned with the divine purpose that flows through all of creation. When you walk in humility and obedience, you step into a new dimension of power. A power that is not based on your own strength, but on the strength of the one who guides you. So today, I ask you, will you step forward with humility? Will you choose obedience? Will you trust that the path you are on is the right one and that you are exactly where you need to be? In doing so, you'll find that the life you've always dreamed of is not something you need to chase. It's already unfolding right here, right now. Humility is often misunderstood as a weakness or an act of subservience. But in reality, it is the foundation of true strength. When we embrace humility, we release the need to prove ourselves to others and let go of the pressures of comparison and competition. It is not about diminishing ourselves, but rather recognizing our place within a larger picture and understanding that we are part of something greater than just our individual desires or ambition. Humility allows us to be open to learning, growth, and transformation, as it invites us to acknowledge that we don't have all the answers. It helps us understand that true strength lies not in asserting dominance or control, but in recognizing the value of collaboration, empathy, and vulnerability. In a world that constantly pushes for more success, more recognition, more achievement, Humility reminds us that our worth isn't tied to external accolades. It's about the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who we are and whose we are. Humility doesn't require us to shrink, but to expand in a way that is aligned with our authentic self. It encourages us to act with integrity, to be present with others, and to lead by example rather than force. This quiet strength is transformative, allowing us to remain grounded even in the face of adversity or success. Humility creates space for others to shine, and in doing so, it nurtures an environment of growth and collective empowerment. It allows us to be receptive to new ideas and perspectives, which are essential for innovation and progress. When we walk in humility, we invite others to do the same, fostering a culture of collaboration and mutual respect, where everyone has the opportunity to contribute their unique gifts. This, in turn, strengthens the foundation of any community, organization, or relationship. Surrendering control is one of the most challenging yet transformative actions we can take in our lives. The need to control everything around us often arises from fear, insecurity, or a desire for certainty. However, when we choose to release this need, we open ourselves up to a higher purpose and allow life to unfold in ways that are beyond our understanding. By surrendering control, we stop fighting against the flow of life and instead begin to trust that there is a larger plan at work, one that is far greater than anything we could orchestrate on our own. When we release control, we stop imposing rigid expectations and start to embrace uncertainty with faith. This faith allows us to move through life with a sense of ease and openness, rather than constantly battling circumstances or striving for outcomes that may not align with our deeper purpose. Surrendering control doesn't mean giving up or being passive. Rather, it's about shifting from a mindset of resistance to one of acceptance. It's about understanding that we can't predict or control every outcome, but we can trust that each moment is an opportunity for growth, learning, and alignment with the divine. This shift in mindset is profoundly liberating. It frees us from the weight of perfectionism and allows us to experience life with greater peace. By letting go of the need to control, we create space for new possibilities to enter our lives, possibilities that we may have once dismissed because they didn't fit our plans. When we let go of control, we align with the flow that carries us forward, often leading us to places we never expected but always needed. It's in this surrender that we find true empowerment, for we are no longer bound by the limits of our own plans, but instead, we become open to the boundless potential of what life has to offer. True power doesn't come from force or dominance. It comes from letting go of the ego and embracing a deeper connection with the world around us. The ego often tells us that we are separate, that our individual achievements, desires, and needs define who we are. It pushes us to compete, to assert ourselves, and to prioritize self-interest above all else. However, when we surrender to a power that is greater than our ego, we realize that true strength comes from our ability to connect, to empathize, and to be part of something larger than ourselves. By letting go of the ego, we no longer feel the need to prove our worth to the world. We stop seeking validation and instead begin to act from a place of inner confidence. This type of strength is not about being the loudest in the room or winning at all costs. It is the quiet strength of knowing that we are part of a larger plan and that our true value comes from living in harmony with that plan, not from our ability to control or manipulate it. The power that comes from releasing the ego allows us to act with integrity and compassion. We no longer see others as competitors or obstacles, but as fellow travelers on the same journey. This shift in perspective leads to greater collaboration and understanding, fostering environments where everyone can thrive. When we step away from the ego's constant demands, we find that our actions are more purposeful, our relationships more meaningful, and our lives more fulfilling. This power is not based on external accomplishments, but on the quiet confidence that emerges when we release the need to control, allowing us to be guided by a higher purpose. Obedience is often misunderstood as a passive act, something that requires blind following without question or understanding. However, true obedience is an active and conscious choice to align ourselves with a deeper purpose. It is the decision to listen to the inner guidance that speaks to our hearts, a voice that often comes in the form of intuition, conscience, or spiritual insight. This guidance may not always make sense to the logical mind, or fit into the plans we have laid out for ourselves. But it is in following this guidance that we find our greatest growth and fulfillment. When we choose to act in obedience, we are choosing to trust something greater than ourselves. It is an act of faith that there is a larger plan unfolding, even when we cannot fully see it. Obedience doesn't mean surrendering our autonomy or being forced into actions against our will. It means choosing to trust the direction we are being called toward, even if that direction requires us to step outside of our comfort zones or challenge our assumptions about what is best for us. By listening and following this inner call, we allow ourselves to be led to places of growth, healing, and transformation. Obedience also requires courage. It asks us to let go of our attachment to certainty and control, embracing the unknown with a sense of peace. When we are obedient to this higher calling, we are no longer slaves to the whims of our ego, but free to move in alignment with a purpose that transcends our individual desires. This obedience brings clarity, peace, and a sense of direction, as it anchors us in something much greater than ourselves. It creates a sense of unity and connection, allowing us to move through life with confidence and grace. Trusting in the unseen path can be one of the most difficult things to do, especially when the journey ahead appears uncertain or unclear. Our natural instinct is often to seek out clarity, control, and tangible signs that we are heading in the right direction. However, when we trust in the unseen, we surrender the need for immediate answers and allow ourselves to be guided by a deeper sense of faith. It's in those moments of uncertainty that we are called to believe that there is a greater plan at work, one that we may not yet fully understand, but that is unfolding perfectly, piece by piece. Trusting the unseen path means letting go of the constant need for validation and stepping into the unknown with confidence, knowing that we are being guided in ways that we cannot always see or comprehend. It's about having faith in the process of life, even when we can't predict the outcome. This trust is rooted in the belief that every step we take, even if it feels uncertain, is a step in the right direction, leading us toward growth and greater understanding. As we move along this unseen path, we begin to notice that the right opportunities, people, and experiences show up at the right time, often in ways that surprise us. The challenges we face along the way become stepping stones, shaping us and teaching us valuable lessons. Trusting in the unseen requires patience and resilience, but it also opens us up to the possibility of experiencing life in a much deeper, more profound way. It invites us to lean into the mystery of the journey, knowing that even when we cannot see the full picture, we are always exactly where we need to be. When we walk in humility and obedience, we naturally create a sense of harmony with the greater good of all. Humility allows us to release the need to assert our own importance or dominate situations. Instead, it invites us to recognize the interconnectedness of all people and situations, understanding that we are not isolated beings, but part of a larger divine whole. This realization shifts our perspective from one of competition or self-centeredness to one of cooperation and unity. We no longer see others as obstacles to overcome or rivals to defeat, but as partners in this shared journey of life. Obedience to a higher calling nurtures this sense of harmony. By listening to the guidance that calls us towards something greater than ourselves, we align our actions with the greater good. Our decisions, even in the smallest of moments, become intentional and purposeful, creating ripples that extend far beyond our immediate surroundings. As we act with humility and obedience, we contribute to a collective energy that fosters peace, understanding, and growth for all. The harmony we create through humility and obedience extends into every aspect of our lives, our relationships, our work, and our communities. It allows us to transcend personal differences, building connections based on mutual respect and shared values. When we choose to act in ways that honor the well-being of others and the greater whole, we create environments where cooperation and collaboration thrive, rather than division and discord. Visinitizer. We are no longer driven by the pursuit of personal gain, but by the desire to see others thrive as well. In walking this path, we find that our individual actions are part of a much larger divine plan. We become conduits for love, kindness, and understanding, helping to bring about a world where unity and harmony are the guiding principles for all. Freedom is often perceived as the ability to do whatever we want, whenever we want. However, true freedom comes from releasing the constant need to rely solely on ourselves and our own strength. It is the freedom that arises when we let go of the heavy burden of self-reliance and trust in something greater than our own abilities. When we constantly try to control every aspect of our lives, we inadvertently create stress and tension. We live with the belief that if we don't manage every detail, things will fall apart. But when we choose to trust in a higher power and surrender the need to micromanage every aspect of our existence, we release that tension and open ourselves up to a freedom that is far more profound than anything we could create through sheer will. This kind of freedom allows us to live with peace of mind, knowing that we are supported by something larger than ourselves. It frees us from the constant striving for perfection and success, and instead invites us to live in alignment with a divine flow. As we let go of the need to control outcomes, we begin to notice that life starts to unfold more smoothly, and opportunities emerge in ways that we could not have predicted. By trusting the process and allowing ourselves to flow with life's natural rhythm, we find that we are free from the worry and stress that come with trying to force things to happen. True freedom comes from the ability to surrender, to let go of the illusion of control, and to trust that life, in its own time, will bring us exactly what we need. This freedom opens doors to deeper peace, joy, and fulfillment as we no longer feel chained to the limitations of our own efforts. When we walk in humility, we open ourselves to a divine flow that transcends our individual desires and expectations. This flow is the current of life, the force that guides us toward experiences and opportunities that align with our higher purpose. Humility allows us to step aside from our ego and self-centered desires, creating the space for this flow to guide our steps. By letting go of the need to control or force things to happen, we align ourselves with a rhythm that is more powerful and more effective than anything we could achieve through sheer willpower. As we move through life in humility, we begin to notice that things start to fall into place with much less effort. Opportunities present themselves, and doors open in ways that seem almost effortless. This is the divine flow working through us, leading us in directions that are in harmony with our greater good. Humility enables us to recognize that we don't have to fight for everything or constantly strive to achieve. Sometimes the best things come when we simply allow life to unfold naturally. In addition, walking in humility helps us to become more present in each moment. Instead of being distracted by the pursuit of our own agendas, we begin to see and appreciate the beauty of the world around us. We are no longer preoccupied with what we can get, but with what we can give. This shift allows us to experience life with greater joy and gratitude, knowing that everything we need is already provided, and that our role is simply to stay aligned with this flow. By walking humbly, we not only tap into the divine flow, but also become instruments of that flow, guiding and inspiring others as we move through the world. Obeying the call of a higher power is not about blind submission or following orders without understanding. It is about aligning our actions with a deeper spiritual purpose. When we choose obedience, we are making a conscious decision to live in harmony with the divine plan, even when that plan does not align with our personal desires or expectations. This obedience is rooted in trust, knowing that the guidance we receive is for our highest good, even if the path is not immediately clear. It is a surrender of our limited understanding to something far greater than ourselves. This obedience requires courage, as it often means stepping into the unknown or making choices that challenge the status quo. It calls us to be vulnerable, to trust in the process, and to move forward with faith, even when we cannot see the full picture. Obeying God's call is not always easy, and it may not always bring immediate rewards, but it always leads us to growth, healing, and a deeper connection to our purpose. When we act in obedience, we align ourselves with a greater energy, a force that moves through us and guides us toward experiences that are aligned with our soul's journey. This obedience allows us to move through life with clarity, peace, and direction. We are no longer driven by fear or self-interest, but by a sense of divine trust that each step we take is part of a larger, purposeful unfolding. Ultimately, obedience brings a sense of fulfillment and inner peace because it aligns us with our true self. By listening to and following this inner guidance, we create a life that reflects our highest potential, one that is in harmony with both our personal destiny and the greater good of all. Living in alignment with our purpose is not just about achieving personal goals or finding success in the traditional sense. It is about recognizing that we are part of a greater whole and understanding that our lives have meaning beyond our individual pursuits. When we are aligned with our purpose, we move through life with a sense of clarity and direction, knowing that each step we take is part of a larger divine plan. This alignment brings a deep sense of fulfillment, as we no longer feel lost or disconnected from who we truly are. When we are in alignment, our actions, decisions, and interactions flow more effortlessly. We stop forcing outcomes or trying to control every situation. Instead, we trust the process and remain open to the opportunities that arise. Our purpose acts as a guiding light, illuminating the path ahead and helping us navigate challenges with a sense of confidence and resilience. We no longer feel pulled in multiple directions or overwhelmed by the demands of life because we are centered in our true calling. Living in alignment also means that we are in harmony with the world around us. We begin to recognize that our purpose is not separate from others, but intertwined with the collective good. By living authentically, we inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positivity and growth. This alignment with our true selves allows us to build deeper connections, foster meaningful relationships, and contribute to a greater sense of community and belonging. As we continue to walk in alignment with our purpose, we discover a deeper peace that transcends external circumstances. We are no longer defined by success or failure, but by the unwavering belief that we are exactly where we need to be, doing exactly what we are meant to do.